1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 31 reads, "And they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away." In this chapter, the Apostle Paul makes an interesting point about the fact that the way this world currently exists, the situation we have in this world is temporary and it's short, and so we need to focus on the things that really matter. And what we see in this passage is he weaves an interesting theological thread about the benefits of being married as well as the benefits of being single and the sort of effort we should take in terms of how we alter and change and how much focus we put on our marital status. Because what we see in verse 2 is he tells us that marriage is a good thing. He says, "Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband." So marriage is a good thing. There's definitely benefits to marriages. There's privileges that come with that covenant relationship. He's not saying that that's a bad thing, but he's also saying that being single is good too. He says in verse 8, "I say therefore to the unmarried and widows, it is good for them if they abide even as I." Saying, listen, if you're not married or you were married and your spouse has passed away, you know what? It's a good thing for you to just stay not married. Paul's saying, I'm not married. It's not a bad thing to be single. Being single is not something to look down on. But we also see that if you are married, you're supposed to stay that way. It says in verse 10, "And unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord, let not the wife depart from her husband." So if you are a lady and you are married to a man, it is your job to fulfill the role and the duties of a wife, and you've made that commitment. You need to stay married, you need to stick by your man, and you need to not leave him. However, if it should happen, it says in verse 11, "But if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband, and let not the husband put away his wife." Gentlemen, if your wife should walk out on you for whatever reason, it does not give you permission to compound the problem by divorcing her. That's not okay. And I don't know the scenario, and a lot can happen that leads to this. And, you know, it's his fault, it's her fault, it's a combination. Okay, that there's a myriad of possibilities as far as that goes. However, if your wife walks out on you, she needs to stay unmarried. Doesn't need to marry someone else. And it doesn't give you permission to divorce her, because the ultimate goal would be that you get back together because you made that commitment. You're in a special covenant relationship, and you're not supposed to tear that apart just because you're having, certain problems. And again, that there's so much more that can be said about that. However, in verse 27, as we go down through this passage, it says, "Art thou bound unto a wife? Seek not to be loosed. Art thou loosed from a wife? Seek not a wife." So what he's saying here is, okay, you shouldn't put too much effort into changing your current marital status. It's like, are you married? Well, don't try to be unmarried. Once you're married, be married. Just stay that way. Okay, you're married. That's done with. Now you can move on with your life as a married person. However, are you single? Do you not have a person? Okay, well, don't put too much effort into getting one, because it's like, well, we can overinvest the time that we have in this world in seeking a life partner. If you look online, there's so much out there about people complaining about being single, or so much dating advice, and there's so many debates and arguments going on. You could spend hours looking at this stuff, especially with the drizzle movement and the sprinkle and the MGTOW, and the ladies are saying, oh, all the guys are pigs, and then the guys are saying, oh, the ladies, their standards are too high, and you can just invest. So many people have made so much money making videos online and giving coaching advice dealing with this one subject, because people can become very obsessed with it. And what the Apostle Paul is saying here is that there's benefits to both, but don't spend too much time and effort trying to change your current scenario. Because even if you get married, and it's like, okay, you're married, you found your life partner, your life is actually really short. And at death do you part. You're going to end up unmarried again at some point, just because of the limits in this life. And if we invest so much time and effort on that one subject, well, at the end of the day, our marriage is temporal because our ultimate relationship is with Jesus Christ. And we can be so overinvested in that it takes away from us trying to do what God would have us to do. Because he says, starting in verse 29, "But this I say, brethren, the time is short. It remaineth that both they that have wives be as though they had none, and they that weep as though they wept not, and they that rejoice as though they rejoice not, and they that buy as though they possess not, and they that use this world as not abusing it, for the fashion of this world passeth away." It's like everything in this world is gonna be gone. We can invest all our lives in our marriages and trying to get married, and eventually it comes to an end. And if we over-focus on that and not what God necessarily has us to do and the mission that God gives us in life, then we can get distracted. He says the same thing, those that weep as those that wept not. We can spend so much time mourning and being upset and being angry and being scared that we miss out on what it is God has us doing. Those that rejoice as those that rejoice not. It's not going to matter. Eventually, it's all going to disappear. And they that buy and they that possess not, people who build up massive estates and have lots of stuff, eventually it's all going to be gone because everything we have in this world is temporary. Whether we have things or we live meagerly or impoverished, we're all going to end up in the same place, and that is in eternity in one way, punishment, or rejoicing with the Lord in heaven. And what's being said here by the Apostle Paul is this world is temporary. And our focus and our time and our energy needs to go into fulfilling the Lord's will for our life. We can't let anything distract us. We can't overinvest in anything that isn't what it is that God has us to do. We need to be focused on obeying Him, fulfilling His will, and being part of His program.